Travel Day! Most of us began traveling to the Czech Republic from the United States today. A few people had arrived early, but today we were all planning on meeting up at the Czech University of Life Sciences in Prague, who so graciously hosted us for the duration of our trip. When everyone had arrived, we had our first dinner at Club C, one of the university's dining areas for students. We had a few lectures in the morning introducing us to the Czech Republic and some of the topics that we'd be learning about throughout our trip. Then we had a campus tour where we started at the greenhouses.
We have one of the most precious collections of crops, of tropical and subtropical crops. The citrus aurantium, so the bitter orange.
CZU has two main greenhouses that are used for teaching, research, and are often open to the public, and we got to see and smell their collection of tropical and subtropical plants.
I think it's yum.
Yeah, it's yum.
Yeah, what does it smell like? Pepper.
After our tour of the greenhouses, we continued with our tour around campus where we saw a lot of different facilities, including their shooting simulator. After our campus tour, we then headed to Tiché Uduli, a protected nature reserve area aimed at reforestation efforts to restore historic logging practices. But first, we were introduced to the ticks.
This is my date for the ticks. No mosquito, no ticks.
Before all the rest of our excursions into the forest, we all made sure to apply tick spray so we wouldn't get bit.
Fennel seeds.
Show me the back. Oh.
Actually, what you see here right now, it's kind of like a passive rewilding, but it's nothing new actually. The rewilding and succession was going on here for last century.
Current land use has shifted towards promoting ecotourism and environmental education, while forest management plans in this area emphasize sustainable practices and restoration projects.
We don't know what was growing here 1,000 years ago because we have no real data about the natural species composition. 2 kilometers from here, there's a famous Neolithic site called Uhey culture. It's really in between archaeologists. This is well described, So we know that people are here for a really long time.
First, we had 2 lectures this morning covering basic silviculture in Europe and how it differs from silviculture in the United States, and the second covered new technology in forestry, including the use of UAVs and virtual reality.
Have you ever taken a silviculture class before?
No.
Are you excited to take a silviculture class?
I'm not gonna understand anything.
I think you will.
Then we had a short presentation and demonstration discussing the use of multi-operational machinery in Central and Eastern European forests. This machinery they use aids in timber harvesting, as timber is a large portion of the Czech Republic's economy. From the lectures, we headed to Park Stromovka.
I'm doing an excursion. I love this excursion.
This is Stromovka, which is perhaps one of the largest city parks with quite a long history.
I learned that this park used to be for the king of Bohemia and his friends, the powerful and rich friends.
They hunted pheasants. Put sunscreen on the trees.
There are short-toed tree creepers here.
Ooh. They have native yew trees that were used in medieval times to make bow and arrows, and now they're protected species.
We continued to walk around the park where we saw a large variety of native trees and learned more about the history of the reserve.
Isn't that nice? Oh my gosh. It's like paper. Soft paper.
Yeah, I would wipe my ass with that.
I would. I fully would.
I love the ginkgo.
The Royal Game Reserve was established in 1268 and was converted into the public park we see today in 1804. The governor's summer palace, the Oak Hill Island, and the planetarium can all be found on the grounds of the park. What are they called?
Lazius is the genus.
And
Lazius niger.
then we returned to campus where we had our dinner at Club C. From campus, we took a bus to meet our tour guide, who took us on both sides of the river to see all the sights of historic Prague.
Wow. Oh wow. What a great day. Oh yeah. Prague is fantastic.
Our tour started in the Old Town Square at the base of the astronomical clock. Then we headed to the Jewish quarter on the same side of the river.
This guy died because religion.
It was absolutely pouring rain, but that did not dampen our spirits because we still got to walk across the Charles Bridge and learn the history of all the landmarks we were able to spot through the rain.
Rain.
After crossing the bridge from the Old Town Square, we walked through the city where we finally reached the Prague Castle. After the guided tour, we all split up to tour the city individually. The group I was with decided to go see some local music, we saw the Illusion Museum back in Old Town, and we explored the castle gardens.
Darth Vader, what are you doing at the motorcycle-themed muscular dystrophy fundraiser in the Czech Republic?
We ended our day down by the river where we watched the swans and the river rats before taking public transportation back to the university. We packed up all our stuff and headed to hike the highest peak in all of the Czech Republic, Sněžka.
We are going to go to the highest point in all of the Czech Republic. Woo!
Along the hike, there were a lot of places to stop at and learn different facts about the area we were in, which was pretty cool.
Which of the following trees grows above the upper forest line? We have the dwarf mountain pine, Norway spruce, and the sycamore maple.
Final guess is dwarf mountain pine.
Absolutely. Okay. Got some free education.
Because the weather was so windy and rainy, we couldn't actually take the gondola all the way up to the top. We took it to the first stop and then hiked to the top from there.
I am so excited. I'm so excited to see the mountain and all the trees and be really up high. I think it's going to be a wonderful time.
I'm stoked. I'm so excited to go to the top of this mountain. I wish I could ski down it so bad.
We got our tickets and boarded the gondola where we saw some really nice views of the oldest national park in the Czech Republic.
These trees over here with the lighter tips on the branches are Norway spruce, and there's also some different kinds of fir. I know there's silver fir up here, and there's one pine tree, I think it's a dwarf pine, that exists above the alpine line.
After we got off the gondola stop and before we started hiking, Radek told us a bit about the background and forest history of the national park we were in, and we talked about the normal weather patterns of this region.
This is Smuggo pine, which is not native here. We're at about 45,500 feet of elevation, which is this many meters. And there's still
Smuggo pine
and Norway spruce.
Throughout the hike, there were a lot of informative signs along the trail. They lined up with what Radek was telling us before the hike, how deforestation impacts different animal species, like the birds on this particular sign. As we continued to hike higher and higher, the weather continued to get worse and worse, with the wind blowing extra hard and the rain drenching us. We climbed above the tree line right into the clouds, which made it pretty hard to see and stand without being blown fully over. At the top, there was a nice little shack where we could buy snacks and drinks and take a break or just generally warm up.
What's up? I climbed the highest peak in all of the Czech Republic, and now I'm standing on the Czech-Poland border and eating this humongous Kit Kat-esque bar.
As we started our descent, the wind and rain was arguably even stronger than it had been on the way up.
How do you feel about your experience on this mountain? It's fucking windy. And it's blowing the rain into my eye. It's like rocks in my pupil.
As we continued hiking down, we finally made it back to the tree line, which provided a lot of cover from the wind, and the rain did start to clear up.
And the sun is out for the first time. We've been hiking in a cloud for the past multiple hours, and we're on our way down now. And the sun is out.
10 out of 10. Euphoric.
It was pretty interesting to see how the forest composition began to change the lower in elevation we got, similar to hiking maybe Humphreys at home. After finishing the hike, some of us chose to go on the Alpine coaster in town before we boarded the bus headed back to the chateau, where we were all excited to get a good night's sleep. Day 5. We started the day with breakfast at the chateau, which was very similar to the breakfast we had at Club C, just with a few different options.
Got an apple for health on this strudel. I'm not dipping it in the mustard. I dipped some bread in the mustard. Happy Europe.
3 sausages and that's it.
Brody is eating 3 eggs.
We're here
at a local forest. That's one of the more diverse forests because it's broadleaf and conifers.
Ticks might be here.
At the local forest in Yevani, we learned about different hunting practices and how hunters and foresters interact with each other. The deer population in these areas are important indicators of forest health and need to be mitigated appropriately.
This area here has a lot of deer there with their antlers. And that's why there's not a lot of regen, and that's why there's little crates around the different trees to protect the bark from the deer and ungulate browsing.
In the Czech Republic, there are primarily European roe deer and red deer. Too many deer have a negative impact on tree regeneration due to increased browsing effects. There are also boar in this region, which are hunted because of their negative effects on soil health. Because wolves have historically been driven out of this area, there are no apex predators to mitigate deer populations, so hunters have to step in to manage them. After visiting the forest, we headed to some research plots.
We're underneath the exclosure. It's like this experimental roof. Up above us is plexiglass. And the purpose behind this is to exclude water from getting into the soil so that we can measure how trees are responding in different drought stress conditions. And up above, we'll see in a second.
You said explosion.
Now we're outside of the exclosure. You can see all the spruce behind me. Their bases are in the exclosure and their tops are out.
It's to stop.
It's actually an exclosure because it's excluding something rather than keeping something in. Thank you.
Cut that out.
You can see on the tops of the trees they have various monitoring devices. These just help tell us general tree health data. They have permanent DBH bands and sensors that are monitoring bark temperature and sap flow. They're corresponding with internal sensors that were installed in the trees.
It's a European fire beetle, and he's out right now because it's his mating season. It was really interesting to see research being done in the field in a different country and compare it to the research that I personally do on my master's project and other research I see done in the United States.
We're going to the sawmill.
We arrived at the sawmill, which was very interesting because it works with the university, and students in the university's forestry program can work or intern at the sawmill, which provides them a great opportunity to see the whole cycle of timber production.
Which one is the adult one?
The adult tunnel is here, and all these side ones are the larval galleries.
So we just passed by a bunch of really crappy logs that look like birch and some other stuff, and terrible quality, can't be released. They're gonna try to sell it. They're kind of mad actually that the foresters brought them in, but they're gonna try to sell it, and if no one buys it, it gets chopped up and then gets used as heating in the winter for the castle that we're staying in.
Hey! Once the logs are chosen to be processed, they go through the debarking machine, which strips all of the bark off, much like this over here. These are debarked logs that are then put into this machine where they're sorted by diameter and cut into a rectangular prism, and then they're cut into planks inside.
We returned to the chateau after the sawmill, where we had a lecture about hunting practices in the Czech Republic and how they use technology to manage animal populations of interest to foresters. After a quick trip to the grocery store, we went to the local pivovar.
What did you get? Google Translate said it was bread and butter spread.
I think it might be beef tallow.
Savarky a salo.
My great aunt, my grandpa, they used to eat lard sandwiches.
First, we went to the Arboretum in Kostelec.
Hope there's not any horses that we interact with.
This arboretum houses a collection of trees focused on forestry important taxa found in the temperate and boreal zones of the Northern Hemisphere. The Arboretum is used to teach forestry courses at CZU, helping students to gain familiarity with a large variety of tree species, and is open for general public use to make forestry more accessible to the public.
So the way this tree grows, each one of these segments is a year. What you can also see is how good the year was.
They also have a collection of over 120 species of pine cones from across the world, as well as a collection of tropical fruit seeds. After our tour of the first arboretum, we had some lunch before we headed to the Sofronka Arboretum.
Here's behind me is a loblolly pine. It's the oldest loblolly in the Czech Republic because it doesn't normally grow here. They're native to the southeastern United States.
This arboretum was established in 1956 and is dedicated to researching and cultivating various pine species through provenance trials and hybridization trials. There's no pruning or thinning. Natural selection is the primary factor for determining tree survival here. The research done here focuses on adaptability, growth patterns, and genetic diversity of various pine species, while also serving as an educational hub that emphasizes ecological awareness, forest management insights, and biodiversity conservation. Our day started with a lecture on contemporary timber construction systems where we learned about how important wood quality is for construction purposes. From campus, we traveled to the Martinez Group, a construction company that specializes in the supply of prefabricated houses and buildings. We got to the tour facility where they construct buildings specific to the buyer's measurements and needs. Our guide discussed how the demand of wooden buildings is increasing, while there's also an increasing shortage of qualified builders, which is leading them and other construction companies to rely more on automated machinery to prefabricate the needed buildings.
Wood and it's insulation, and also we have got electricity into the panel.
They also showed us some of the building plans for a building that's being constructed on CZU campus where we're staying now. And we headed back to campus on the bus for our final dinner at Club C. That night I met up with my friend Maggie, who had been living in Prague for the past 2 years, who I hadn't seen in 5 whole years. On the last night of our trip, we visited the folklore gardens to see traditional Czech music and dancing, and some of us even got to dance ourselves.
Are you ready to dance? Yeah, for sure. Yes?
After dinner, we said goodbye to our friend Radek and thanked him and all of the other CZU staff for their generosity throughout our entire trip. And that's it, the wrap-up of our wonderful trip. Most of us headed back to the United States the following day, but some of us extended our trip a little bit longer.
Going home, going home, going home, going home.
Overall, I know I had an amazing trip, and I'm so honored to have had the opportunity to learn from the faculty at CZU and our NAU trip advisors on a truly once-in-a-lifetime trip. I hope everyone else enjoyed their opportunity to learn and explore. Thanks for watching!